So that's my deer hunting heads.
Okay.
We're gonna get one this year.
Yeah.
It's on.
You don't need big money to be a hunter. Just drive, curiosity, and a willingness to learn. This is Backwoods Obsessions, the podcast for hunters from all walks of life. Whether you're new to the hunt or a seasoned vet, you're in the right place. We're learning right alongside you, sharing real tactics, affordable gear, and expert insights. No fluff, just real talk. Honest reviews and a passion for the hunting traditions. Subscribe and follow, and let's keep passing it down one hunt at a time. Now let's dive into this week's show. All right, JW, Chad, we were just talking here a few minutes ago about the wonderful art of bow hunting and all of the details that goes into making that successful. And we started getting a little controversial in our little talk here about mechanical broadheads versus fixed broadheads. Now, I am not a bow hunter by nature. I want to be. I want to learn. So I want to see you guys duke it out as to which way should a new guy go, or what advice would you give a newbie when it comes to just starting out into the world of bow hunting, whether it be compound or otherwise? JW, why don't we start with you first? And I think you have very, very passionate feelings about your position on broadheads.
Well, for the newbie, use what you like. I mean, there's. It all goes by I guess who gives the most money on products out there to advertise. It's all based on marketing.
Yep.
So you can market it a pile of dirt and somebody will buy it.
That's probably very true.
So yeah, I prefer a fixed broadhead. That's just me. I was just raised that way, and that's what I've always shot. Like I said, I shot the original Muzzies, 3 and 4 blade, when they come out for several years. And then when that whole deal went down and they sold out and mass produced everything, I never used another one. I like stuff made here in the United States, and it's hard to get a good quality broadhead that's made over in Singapore or one of the shops over there on one of the islands that's mass produced. I guess you could I've seen all these tests, that they do. I guess the biggest thing is shoot one and see when you skin it, look at what damage it done. I've heard and seen stories with fixed broadheads, and I've killed some deer with some fixed broadheads, or mechanical broadheads, and and that. But too many things can go wrong. Like I was saying, where it's real cold, a little bit of dew gets in there, rain drops, something gets in there, freezes. Will it open? Maybe. Maybe not. I know a guy that, he shot a monster and he ended up getting it, but, finally, but that mechanical broadhead never opened and it was froze.
That would tear me apart. Like the trophy of a lifetime walks in front of you, and you find that broadhead didn't open up. That would just give me that sinking gut feeling.
Shot placement's right. You kill one with a field tip. Shot placement's right. Just like I said, I've always used a fixed broadhead, and that's kind of what I've always relied on, because you take that element of the possibility of it not opening or any of that, and you cut that down tremendously when you have a good fixed blade right there. When it makes contact, it's cut.
Do you have a preference? Like, as you said 3 or 4 blade. There's like a single blade, right? Too, as well, right? Is there a benefit to one or the other?
No, I mean it just depends on the blade, your grain and size of your of your cutting diameter that you're shooting, but I mean it's you know not really. I mean, I'll shoot a 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter, so I've had really good success with the with the wasp. They have a pretty good, decent broadhead uh, that they build. Then there's a few more, but yeah, I mean that's my kind of my fix on it. I mean, you have you just take that possibility of you know that rubber band breaking, whether it's a rubber band holding it, if it's forward deployed or rear deployed. I mean, they have everything now, so you know.
So, Chad, you're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to broadheads, right? You're a mechanical.
Well, yes and no. I mean, JW is right. With the fixed blades, you definitely take away the possibility of blades not opening and stuff like that, right? But like I said, and also back to what he said, as long as you put it where it's supposed to go, they all work, right?
Mhm.
So,
Just like with
but
a rifle, right? You shoot it in the right place,
right, but
lethality is
for
there.
me, it's a lot easier to not put it where it's supposed to go in bow hunting because a lot of stuff happens fast. So I like having the extra cut, right? Like I like having that 2 inch plus cut, as long as you're not over, giving yourself too much broadhead where you can't get the penetration. You're shooting short draw or low draw weight. Obviously, you're going to want to probably lean toward a fixed head a little more. But as long as you've got a good sharp broadhead, 65 pounds, 28, 29 inch draw, I mean, it goes through deer like butter.
So that's a
So,
good tip. So someone that's a pitifully weak individual like myself who couldn't probably pull that bowstring more than 2 or 3 inches. Is there a benefit to a mechanical versus a fixed?
yeah,
Is
I mean, a fix definitely takes less energy, right, to push through a deer. Just because, when the expandable's open, you lose energy right there with the blades opening. So, and typically you're pushing a lot more blade through. Fixed blades, they're just all around known for better penetration. But for me, it's kind of the same as a bullet, right? Like I don't typically shoot bonded bullets at deer just because I don't really want it to pass through and keep going because I want it to leave everything I can leave right there. I want to cut the biggest hole I can cut and still make it through. But and for me, I guess as far as like tuning and stuff, it just makes it a little easier. You don't have to be quite as spot on with your tune to shoot mechanicals. Uh, I'm sure out in the Midwest, they're probably a lot more popular because those guys do shoot further. They shoot out 70, 80, 90 yards. A expandable definitely flies better. Most of the time your fixed blade, not saying that you can't get them to shoot good out long distance, but after like 40-ish yards, you'll typically will run into some planing and stuff like that. And sometimes they're a little louder. The vented blades on them, they're a little louder in flight. So it really does just depend. It's kind of application, kind of personal preference, kind of all of the above, if you will. Um, Now I do usually I'll have like 2 or 3 different kind of expandables with me, but I also have a fixed blade if I run into a hog, you know, because expandables, overall as a whole, we'll lump them together, not as tough, for like bone and stuff like that.
Do you find that
But
if you do have like a different animal, like a hog, come by and you're deer hunting, like and you want to get that hog, how easy is it to swap out
it
arrows?
depends. I mean, if they're just walking along, obviously it's a little harder to try to get it swapped out and all. But if they just come in and they're feeding, usually you got time. You can just swap out the arrow real quick, or if you can see them coming down the trail from a good ways off,
Now, are you
just
in a
kind of be
tree
ready.
stand when you're bow hunting? Because I would assume that it'd be easier being
Most
above
of the
them.
time,
Yeah.
yeah, most of the time, just because everything's so close, it's just a little easier, you know.
I
So,
shoot a fixed. I can shoot anything, anytime.
well, I mean,
I think that was a
now I've
dig,
got
Chad. I think that was a
so
dig.
so here. Matter of fact, I'll show you. I actually just switched this year. So I've got some of the Beast broadheads, right? Titanium ferrule,
Holy cow, that thing's like a
stainless
Klingon
steel
bat'leth.
tips, and they're see if I can do this without cutting myself. So they're 2 inch, right? And they seem to be awesome. I mean, I've yet to shoot a deer with them, but I wouldn't hesitate. I'd shoot a hog or whatever. I mean, they seem like they're good broadheads. Yeah, there's some of them that I wouldn't chance shooting at a hog, but there's some that that I would. Like just when you mess with them, you can kind of feel whether they're gonna be kind of cheaper made or if they're a quality head. So, but like I said, I've got those. Those are the Josh Bomar broadheads, the Beast broadheads. Those are the titanium 2.0s. I love the G5 Dead Meats 3 blade 1.5 inch expandable. Absolutely love them. They cut a nasty hole. Um,
Is there a big
Now
price difference between a mechanical and a broad or fixed? I mean,
you can go overboard with any of them. I mean, you
really,
get into like the day 6 Evos and stuff, or the
mortgage your
any of
house.
that stuff. Yeah, or the iron wheels. I mean, you're $150 for 3 on the fixed heads. So
Or you buy the marketing junk China ones, and they're flipping $100 and something for.
yeah, it's
Dang.
that's kind of like everything with bow hunting. There's a cheap way to do it, and there's expensive, and then there's everywhere in between. It's just really bow hunting is way more about comfort, what you're comfortable in, what you're confident in, just what you prefer. That's like bows. I mean, what I like and what you like and what JW likes might all be different. So bow hunting is a really more of a personal preference thing because all of it, you can make all of it kill deer
Hmm.
as long as you do what you're supposed to do. So
Well, that's with any hunting style, right? I mean, whether it's
yeah,
rifle, pistol, crossbow, whatever, as long as you're getting that ammunition, right, or whatever the technique is, right, to the vitals. That's all that matters, right? So now you both were mentioning grain weight, and I guess some of that may not be familiar with bow hunting. Is that the same as grains with firearms? You talk about grains and ammunition, right? 150 grain, 160 grain. Is that the same?
it is. So typically in bow hunting, 90% what you're going to see guys run is either 100 or 125 grain. I mean, that's like mostly what you're going to see. Now you get into the guys wanting to run like a really high FOC, which is your front of center. You get a lot more weight on the front of your arrow. Or like the traditional guys, they like the 150, 200 grain, 300 grain broadheads. But typically for compounds, you're going to be 100, 125 grain. And that's just typically, I mean, unless you just want one or the other, when you start tuning, you can kind of play with those. If you can't get it to tune with a 100, you can try 125 and see if you can weaken your spine a little bit. And so it just depends on, like I said, kind of a personal thing, kind of whatever your setup kind of wants. It's kind of like a gun, like finding a good load that your gun likes. Kind of the same.
I gotcha. So like JW, you and I have talked about maybe heading out to Colorado and doing like some elk hunting, and you were saying that you'd bring your bow for that. How would you match a broadhead for that size of animal? I mean, that's a different aspect of hunting than a whitetail, right?
I'm using the same setup.
Really, it's the exact same. No, no difference, right? It's still and it's just as effective.
Oh yeah. You take that heart out, and it can't pump.
Right. Right.
You take
So
the
it
heart
still has the
lungs.
same penetration and everything.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll shoot through an elk with one of them with that setup as fast as I can a whitetail. I mean, they're I'm not changing anything. I'm using the same setup. Doesn't matter if I'm hunting elk, muleys, whitetail. The only thing that I may tune it down on is if I was to hunt turkeys with it, I may back it off just a little bit. Maybe, and then I might not. I mean, I don't know. I usually shoot about a 72-pound pull. But that's and I shoot about 72 pounds and about a 29-inch draw. That's where I see a lot of people messing up, man. You see these people that are. I mean, I had a guy one time, and he was telling me, he's like, you only shoot a 29-inch draw, and I said, yep. He goes, man, I shoot a 31-inch draw, and I'm like, you're like 5'10", you shoot a 31-inch draw. I mean,
Must have arms like a gorilla.
Oh man, I mean, lots and lots and lots of people mess up with that, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Chad, would you do the same thing? Would you just shoot what you normally shoot muleys and
No.
whitetail with, or would you change it up?
No, for my whitetail arrows, I typically run a little bit lighter. Like I usually run, I shoot about 65, 66 pounds normally, 28 and a half to 29 inch, just depending on which bow. I would probably bump my total weight up a little bit. I think my arrows right now for my whitetails, I mean, I'm sitting right around 400 grains, which is, a little on the lighter side, but for my deer around here, I mean, that's, it's going through like hot butter, so it's no big deal. But for an elk, yeah, I would probably bump up to maybe a 125 grain head. Definitely maybe a brass insert, get a little more weight up front, and a little heavier overall arrow. Maybe drop down to a 300 spine, just put a little weight on.
I shoot 125 grain, regardless. So.
Yeah, and I would use my expandables, but I would probably go down maybe to like an inch and a half cut. Just for that extra little bit of penetration for the not ideal shots. So
now, is there any consideration for the arrowhead and the type of arrow shaft? Like, do you have to match anything there, or is it whatever's on sale at Academy today, or Cabela's?
Yeah.
We're not buying from Academy. That's the first thing.
Oh well, that's what I got out here. So that and Bass Pro.
No, really, the only thing that you have to worry about with that is just like some of the. I think Easton makes the Deep Six inserts, so they're a different thread pattern. But other than that, no, not really. I mean, it's about any of them will screw on any arrow.
So do you either? I'm going to start with you, Chad. Do you have a once in a lifetime bow hunt that you want to go? I mean, maybe Bigfoot or Sasquatch, is it a moose? Is it a bear? Is it javelina?
Obviously, I would like to do elk. Elk is up there. But for me, honestly, it would probably be a really big whitetail. I mean, I like whitetail hunting. That's what I like to do. Not that like I said, not that I wouldn't like to kill an elk and a moose and all, but 160-inch whitetail with my bow, that's about as good as it gets for me.
How about you, JW? What's the dream?
Well, I think probably pronghorn.
Now they are some skittish animals.
That's
so
why
close is gonna be.
That's my whole. That's it. I think it's going to be more of a challenge, right? And I think that's I've got to go once and with no success. I didn't have a whole lot of time. I had one day, and I seen a few. but I never could get them into the water hole, where I was set up with that one day. But yeah, I think that's it. Just because for the challenge, right? They're tough, man.
They're tough.
They're
There's some pretty
probably
animals.
they're probably the toughest to hunt with a bow.
Because they're all open field kind of great, right?
They are.
Yeah, you got no
And
cover really when you're
I'll just
trying.
send JW with some of these.
I think that was
first,
a dig
well,
there,
the first
David.
thing is JW ain't gonna be shooting over about 40 yards to begin with, right? That's but yeah, I mean, I think pronghorn is probably the one of the top on my list there. I'm gonna make it happen.
Is there any pronghorn up there in Georgia? They're all over the ranches out here. So I mean, I'm sure we can set you up with something if get you to come out here.
Yeah.
All right.
No, there's none of that up here.
Well, one thing that I'm hearing from you guys is Carl is very gullible when it comes to marketing and will believe for just about anything. And will hand his money over to basically any big corporation that spends a bunch of money in marketing. But for a brand new hunter, it sounds like you don't need anything fancy, right? You need something. Go ahead.
The biggest thing is try to find, if you're brand new wanting to get into it, just have no idea about anything. Not that you can't go to the big box stores and get set up, but if you can help it, don't go to a local pro shop. Go to a brick and mortar bow shop and let them fit you to a bow that's going to be more comfortable, and shoot multiple. Don't go in and just let them sell you one. Tell them you want to shoot 3 or 4. Shoot one from every brand, right? Make them set it up for you for your draw length and what you're comfortable with, because in the end, that's the biggest difference maker in archery, is you have to be comfortable and it has to fit you.
And as I understand, a lot of those shops will actually have like a little mini range, right, where you can shoot them right in the store, right?
Most all of them do.
Yeah, because most of them will, a good shop is going to help you get it paper tuned and all before you ever leave. All right, they're going to have the right spawned arrows. They're going to help you get everything. But it's important to have a good pro shop, because some pro shops are the exact same as the big box stores. They just want to sell you a bow and get you out the door. So it's important to have a good one that's willing to work with you and willing to help you learn what you're doing, because there's a lot to it. So.
And the other thing is just practice. Learn your bow, learn your tune, right? Learn your release. Learn not to drop your shot after you squeeze your release, right?
Yeah,
and
form is very important.
That's it. It's just practice. Learn your bow.
And another thing I'll add to that is a lot of people overbow themselves. Don't overbow yourself. Don't make it to where you have to draw your bow like this, because you can't do that in a tree stand, right? As much as I'd love to be able to pull 80 pounds, I don't, because I'm not going to sky draw, and that's a lot of movement. Don't overbow yourself, because that makes bad habits, right? It makes form habits that you don't want. So start low, work your way up until you're comfortable, and I promise, with a good fixed blade, until you get, on up, 55 pounds or so or more in draw weight.
I think he's saying maybe one day you two can work your way up to Chad's level.
I've not shot one good enough yet, or long enough to get it to move out of a fixed blade. But
I'm just saying, I just don't recommend expandables until you get to a certain threshold on your your power of your arrow, for lack of a better term.
That makes a lot of sense. Make sure that you're buying American made when you're doing it.
The best way that I was always taught was be able to hold your bow straight out in front of you like this right here, pull directly back, right, and that's the weight you need to be shooting. So you're not trying to raise it up or go down and pull back. You want to be able to pull straight back, and anchor without having to move your front arm, your bow arm is holding.
whenever I try to help people get their set up, because I work on bows on the side. So whenever I'm trying to get people, I'll make you, if you don't know, like if you're just trying to figure it out, I'll make you sit down, point your bow at the target, and then reach over and draw it. Right. And if you can't do that, it's too much draw weight. Because in a tree stand, you have to be able to be extended and draw your bow. So, if you can't do it sitting in the yard, you sure can't do it with a big buck standing in front of you.
Well, and you
So,
get that buck fever, right? You're starting to
right.
tremble.
And it makes a difference.
And you don't want to be pulling you drawing your bow and your release is back here at your ear.
Right.
I mean, man, it just kills me because
it makes it so much harder. I think so. When I talk to people about archery, I think that's the biggest thing that makes people say, "Well, I don't even like to bow hunt. I don't like to shoot bows. It ain't for me." Is because they don't get set up properly, and it's extremely hard to shoot a bow that doesn't fit you. Right? You'll never be consistent. You'll never be comfortable, and so they end up either missing or wounding a deer, or not ever even building the confidence to go hunting with it. So, and then they're just like, well, this ain't for me. So, and it just,
well, it's just like with a rifle, right? I mean, if you have the wrong length of pull, if you have a trigger weight that is uncomfortable or makes it difficult to pull off a squeeze, right? If you have optics that are set incorrectly at a different height that where they should be, if you have the eye relief incorrect, it's within anything. Whether you're doing rifle, bow hunt, ballet, it's all about form and function, right? And making a perfect marriage of the two.
Yep, it for sure makes it easier.
I'd love to see if people would put comments in the video, like if I would come out, if you had a shop that you trusted out there, I'll come out to Georgia and we can record going through the process of setting me up with a proper bow setup for a beginner.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
There ain't none in Georgia.
Right? That's why I got this right here. Close to me, there's not one not within about 2 hours. The one that is within 2 hours, I'm not really a fan of. I've been a few times, and I didn't really care for the way that their customers are treated when they're there. It's just they're just like a peg above you, and I don't know. I didn't care for it much. No. And other people have had the same experience. So I just got this to start working on. We're small town, local people come and I help them get their bows set up, and so
now I will give someone a plug, probably one of the best bow guys that I know on setting up, and that's Kevin Robinson. He owns Pass Through Archery up in Asheville, North Carolina, up where I'm from. Mm-hmm. He and I, we went to school together, and but that dude's, I mean, he's as good as they come. Stuff, huh? I mean, absolutely. I mean, he'll take the time to set you up. So, quick story on that: my wife had never shot a bow, never even, as far as I know. And I mean, she's never even held one. Didn't know the first thing, right? And so I had purchased a new bow at the time. Actually, it's that one right behind his head, right there, behind Chad's head, and
too.
So that's a Kevin Struther special, and
that's a big name in the industry, right there.
It's what I like to shoot, but she had never shot a bow, never touched one, didn't know the first thing. So I called Kevin up and I told him, I said, hey, we need to fix my wife up with something, what can we get? And so I went with an Elite, and I took her up there. We set her up. He set her up. Got draw weight. She shot probably 40 times there in his shop. Got everything dialed in. Absolutely the honest to goodness truth. The very next day when we went out, we were practicing, and she shot about 10 arrows, and I'll be darned if she didn't Robin Hood one of them, man. Like, and she just thought that was the coolest thing. And she says, "Have you ever done that?" And I said, "No, never done that." And I mean, she was just excited. I can't say that I
Holy
my my problem is they
Not
bust
cool after a couple times.
right. They bust them, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's expensive now. It's not no
yeah,
fun no more. The first one's cool.
I'm not trying to Robin Hood nothing, because
no.
I mean that you start digging in your pocket. I mean it gets
I
expensive.
shoot at different spots now. I don't shoot the same spot. I shoot at different ones.
That's exactly what I do, right? Like
At least you're not doing the William Tell, right, where they put the apple on the head, right?
No.
But
I'm not doing none of that.
But Kevin set her up, and I mean, he's phenomenal at what he does. And I mean, if you know your all your stats on everything, I mean, he will have that thing set up and shipped to you. I mean, but if you've never handled a bow, man, he'll sit right there and he'll walk you through every step. And I mean, he will tune that thing, and I mean, when he gets done with it, I mean, and he puts it on paper, I mean, it looks just like a bullet hole. I mean, it's, that thing's shooting good.
And that's what you mean, Chad, by paper tuning, right?
Well, yeah. So on the paper tune, basically what you're doing is you're getting your rest, right? So you want your arrow to come off of the string as close to 90 degrees as possible. So yeah, I'll start with my paper tune. I get that close, and then I'll take a bear shaft, right? I'll take a fletching or a arrow, and I'll cut the fletchings off.
Oh, okay.
And I'll start about 10 yards, and then I'll move it on back. But I'll shoot my fletched arrow and then my bear shaft until I can get them to hit the same spot. And then I know that's as straight as my arrow is going to fly because it has no fletchings to correct the flight. And if it'll fly straight at 20 yards with no fletchings, then it'll fly excellent at 70 with fletchings. So sometimes it's kind of time consuming, and every bow is kind of different on the way you do that, but it's worth it in the end. I mean, back to, consistency is everything. So.
Well, and it sounds like the moral of the story here is that, there's a lot of marketing out there that tries to sway you one way or the other because it's all big business, right? There's a lot of money in this industry, and
there's a ton of it.
Yeah, it's a lot more than just walking into a shop and just buying off the shelf and going for it. It's
it's really trying to find that local shop that really has the knowledge, right?
And the will to work with you.
Yeah, and the professionalism, right? They love what they do, right?
Right.
So I guess I'm going to North Carolina. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I was going to say this will be open to comments, right, on Facebook and all.
Absolutely.
So I actually got a little challenge for everybody. Anybody that watches, find your draw length that you're shooting now, and then I want you to measure your wingspan across your back, right, fingertip to fingertip. Divide by 2.5, and that will give you what your draw length should be, roundabout, right? So it might come up like 27.8, right? You'll be 28-inch draw. So do that and compare it to what you're shooting now, and I guarantee you it'll surprise you at how many people aren't shooting the right draw length.
What did you say now?
So you measure your wingspan, fingertip to fingertip across your back, and then divide it by 2.5. Whatever that comes out to be is what your correct draw length should be. Now, every now and then you'll run into somebody that likes it just, they can't shoot it there. They either want it a little longer or want it a little shorter. But for the most part, that's what
That's the
you
starting
should be
point.
shooting. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and it will probably surprise you.
30-inch drop.
Yep. So, see, when you were shooting this one on 29, he very well may have had um, the limb stops backed out a little more to give you a little bit more in the draw
So
length.
I don't extend my shooting arm. I don't lock my arm out.
There you go. And see, that's what I mean by a lot of people, some people are going to want it a little shorter or a little longer. But for the most part, I bet you there's a lot of people out there that are more than an inch off of their draw length.
Oh,
They'll
absolutely.
be
I
inch and a
mean,
half,
I
2
see it all.
inches.
I see it all
Yeah,
the time. I mean, it's crazy.
and most of the time it's long, right?
Yep.
And what that'll cause is when you come to full draw, when you lean back like that, you pull your bow arm left to right, and your pin will float all over.
I got you. So you're really
Right.
sacrificing accuracy without a proper
Right.
fit.
Right. And
And
you do. I mean, you gain a little speed, right? Because you get about 10 feet per second roughly for every inch of draw length. So
yeah, and I'm a pretty tall guy, right? And I have a long wingspan, and I see these people, man, and they're shooting a longer draw length than me, and I'm like, man, like.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm
Are their
almost
knuckles
6 foot.
scraping the ground when they?
I'm almost 6'5", man, and I've got a pretty long arm span. And I mean, it's I'm only shooting 29 and a half.
and see, I shoot 29. Unless some of them will feel a little long. Some bows will run a little long. But on like if I'm hunting with it, typically I'll go down to like 28 and a half just to give me a little extra room for like jackets or long sleeve shirts and stuff. Just so I don't have to extend my elbow in so far. But yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I mean, if it's cold out, yeah, I suppose you're going to have something kind of big and bulky, right? And,
I typically run mine, but especially like for tree stands, I find that I like it a little bit shorter in a tree stand just because I'm already leaning out usually to get over the rail. So I don't want to have to reach. I like it a little bit short where I can kind of bend at my waist a little easier.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose Georgia, December, you're not going to be up in a tree stand in your BVDs, right? You're going to be wearing some
Probably shorts.
yeah, probably shorts, but everybody's got different forms, right? And and a lot of mistakes that you see people do, and and maybe it's not a mistake. I don't know. Maybe it's just but I see a lot of people. They have that too long of a draw length. For some reason, it's just ingrained in their head that they need a longer draw length. Man, makes for a faster shot or something. A faster arrow, and But I mean, some people lock their arm out. Some people, bend their arms. I don't lock mine out. I have a form that I use where my arm's locked. But it's not overextended. And so for that reason, that shortens my draw length up too. And then my release that I use is, I've got it's pretty short. I mean, you've got all these, I shoot a quickie release, it's just what I've always shot, for several years now. And so mine's relatively short. I mean, my release ain't, but about probably 2 3/4 inches long. So I mean that shortens up too, and I mean I anchor right here, so my head is level, everything's level. I'm not pushing forward, I'm not leaning back. Everything is in sync, and it's level, and all I have to do is just squeeze. But it's just form, and it just takes that practice. And it takes someone teaching you, the proper way. And then once you learn the proper way, it's just making it fit yourself. What works for you, but still using the proper form so that you don't push, you don't pull, you don't have to lean, you don't have to pull back, so you don't get that. You get that anchor point where, you're shooting, the same spot every single time. And it's just, I mean, it sounds easy,
The biggest thing with archery is you can do it wrong and still make it right, but it's a lot harder, right? Like, so I don't know, like grip goes into it big time. I see a lot of people, they squeeze, they got a death grip, they're scared their bow's gonna fall. I shoot mine just like this. I don't even hold my bow. My bow sits right here. It's just it's a feel thing. And I shot for the first 15 years of my life like I just learned how. Well, I got to where I started trying to figure out a different way to put my head, right? Because I was leaning in on my strings. So now it's just natural. I come back and my nose will touch right on the end of my string and everything's perfect. So it's yeah, it's a very, very personal thing. The biggest thing I think is repeatability, right? Even if your form's not the best, if you got this little quirky thing that you like to do, as long as you do it exactly the same every time, you can make it work. But repeatability is the hard part.
The little
That's
magic JoJo that you do right before every shot.
yeah. I mean,
Keep it a little.
everybody's got their little things. So
Yeah. You were gonna say something there, JW? I think we talked over you.
No. I'm just what Chad was referring to is he didn't even hold his bow. I mean, he and I both are going to shoot exactly the same. When we squeeze that release, that bow's going to go. Whoop.
right, it'll kind of sit for a second and then it'll just roll over.
Yep.
Just so slightly.
Well, I
And
heard Chad was so good he doesn't even use a bow. He just tosses the arrow. And
I might as well. At the rate I'm going this season, I might as well.
got a good score there on dead
No.
does in the freezer.
I wish I had a story, and not even a story.
Yeah, that'll soon change. Well,
that's my thing. The bow hunting, and we can talk about this for days. I like my bow hunting.
Well, it probably would be not a bad thing at some point actually to show what is proper form. How do you find your technique, right? There's what I'm hearing is that there's a standard where everyone starts as a good, place to set a foundation, and then over time with experience, you learned some preferences to tweak it so that it's you, right?
And even just simple stuff like when I shoot with both eyes open, right? I don't close my eye.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
Because you lose your depth perception, right? So it's easier actually to shoot with both eyes open. But some people have no idea. Nobody's ever told them that. So I'll watch them try to squeeze, and I'm like, man, just leave it open. Like you don't have to fight yourself. Just leave it open. Just as comfortable. Like just be comfortable.
They'll be over there squeezing their eyes shut like this right here, and then they'll shoot and they'll open it up and then be like, where'd the deer go? Like where's the target?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is making it muscle memory, right? Like that's why once you figure out what works for you, practice. Don't force anything, because when a deer's standing in front of you, you're not going to think about it. You're not thinking about your form. You're not thinking about anything except what's going on right here. So muscle memory and knowing, consistent anchor points, your grips, stuff like that. Just repeatability.
And all that just takes connecting with people that are knowledgeable, right? And people that are willing to teach you.
And you can learn a lot off of YouTube, but it's like anything, there's as much good as there is bad out there. So,
well, and it don't matter. It don't matter. I mean, like, we could get on here and show the proper form, right? And we're going to have the damn comments 50, will fill up with, you're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. I mean,
that's what I said. Everybody's got their little quirks and stuff that they do, and but in the end, whatever you're comfortable with and you can repeat every time will make you consistent. And the biggest thing is just getting fit right from the get go. That's the biggest difference maker.
Well, and I think that's kind of brings us back full circle to where we started, right? There's the battle royale between the mechanical broadhead and the fixed broadheads, right? And everyone's going to find their sweet spot, right, where they are most comfortable, right? And it just takes time and a little bit of experience to find out what those preferences are. But regardless, what I'm hearing, from someone that doesn't bow hunt, the marketing is just that. It's marketing. It's designed to sway you because somebody wants to make a buck.
Oh
right?
yeah, all the big names,
Yeah, but in the end, they're all just as lethal. It's all about form, factor, putting the bullet, pulling the arrow, whatever the technique is, into the right spot, which is the vitals, making it an ethical kill. One shot, one down.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I personally learned a lot today, and I think right now we're holding it right about 45 minutes into the show, so I think we could talk about this forever. I think we could go down 1,000 rabbit holes.
I'll call out of work tomorrow. We'll sit right here and talk.
Yeah, right. Well, and JW mentioned turkey hunting with a bow. That's I think I've heard of it. I just don't think I've ever seen it. I'm like that in itself is probably a whole episode. And we got Turkey Fest coming up here in next April, and in Henrietta, Texas, right? And
so that's my deer hunting heads.
Okay. Oh my lord.
Oh, we're gonna get one this year.
Oh yeah.
It's on. We got some guillotines, baby.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if a lot of people know you can hunt turkeys with bow and arrow.
Yeah, and you should, just like deer, with regular broadheads, just regular body shots work. But like I said, I got these. We're gonna try to chop some heads. We're gonna see what we could do.
It's gonna make the taxidermy easier when they put the fake head on there, right?
They're gonna be mad at me, but
that's right. Well, I think this was a great show. I think we covered a lot of great topics, and I certainly appreciate the great knowledge that you guys have, because this is an area that I am not proficient in by any way. You want to talk rifles? You want to talk cartridges? You want to talk about every little doodad that makes you spend more money to the big companies in the world? That's me, but I'm learning as time goes on, and what I know now and what I wish I knew then, are two very different things, right? I think
a lot of time and heartache.
Right. I wish I had known about a channel like this. It's just going to tell you the straight up truth, no fluff, no. We're not trying to steer you one way or the other. It's just, this is what it is, and this is how it really works, right? And,
shoot what you like.
Shoot
what
you
works
like.
for you. What works for you.
I'll tell you this, I would only recommend to somebody what I would shoot myself. I would never tell anybody to shoot anything that I wouldn't. Right, so
you don't need some 90, 100-pound compound bow with
no
armor tip piercing explosive Rambo type arrows. Or
in South Georgia, you can get away with 50-pound bows and just regular old fixed broadhead, and it's nothing to it. The deer here, they're small. They're not that hard to kill. So
good fit and keep it simple. That's what I heard.
Right. Yep. As long as you can hit the spot you're aiming, you should have no problems. Because ideally, the deer is at 20 yards instead of I refer normal people shoot them on a rifle. I shoot them at 30. But
well, getting them in close, that's a whole other episode. Right? That's a whole other topic of discussion that's going to take us probably a good solid hour in of itself. I think we got a lot of great topics. Hopefully people will like and subscribe. I think hopefully we'll get some good comments on here. And I think to your point there, Chad,
I want to see
I hope
people
they follow
your
challenge.
Yeah, I want to see people comment. I want to know. I'm genuinely curious how many people out there, their draw lengths are more than an inch off.
If you got a gorilla span like JW here with his 20. Oh wait, no, that was the other guy. You got a 29-inch span.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go do that. So it's measure my wingspan.
Yep.
Divide by 2.5.
Across your back because it's flat, and then tip to tip, and then divide by 2.5. That'll give you right there around about it.
So have a buddy or your wife or your significant other do that for you, right? Because it might probably be a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to do by yourself, trust me.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to say we should probably wrap it up, and I think it was a great show, and I'm looking forward to seeing the comments.
Me too.
Yep. All right. Till our next episode. Thank you.
See you.